Hey guys, welcome back to the Outdoor Genetics Podcast. For those of you that have never been here before, thank you for joining us, and we hope you hit that subscribe button and turn on that bell notification so that you'll be notified whenever we upload more content. Outdoor Genetics is proudly sponsored by Chum Bums. Chum Bums is a standalone outdoor adventure community where us outdoorsmen can get together and talk about and discuss and share and all these great things, anything and everything related to the outdoor world. If you like to do it and it's outside, whether it's mountain climbing, hiking, shooting your guns, hunting, fishing, I don't care, whatever it is that you like to do, you're going to be able to find a great group of people there in Chum Bums that share the passion with you. And unlike other free social media websites, you don't have to worry about those paid third-party advertisements that everybody hates to see all the time. Yeah, you ain't got to worry about that. Chum Bums is a standalone platform ran and operated and owned by military vets that support conservative American values. Guys, make sure to check out Chum Bums. Now, back to the show. We're back. Okay, so as you might notice, I had to do a shirt change because, for one,
John's a messy eater.
I'm a messy eater. Apparently I had a couple stains on there that I did not realize was on there. On top of that, we're getting ready to make some burgers. So I got it all wet from de-thawing the meat and other stuff, which is going to be some delicious venison burgers. And I can't remember if that was from the fallow deer or if that was whitetail deer. I can't remember, to be honest, but either way, it is going to be really good. It's going to be delicious. So we're back and we're talking about close encounters, and we had just talked about pigs and are they really as dangerous as what people make them out to be, and not to say that they're not dangerous. Now with that, we're also talking about the pigs that we have in our area. The southern Oklahoma region, the feral hogs that we have down here. We're not talking about going over and getting into them Russian boars that are the size of a Volkswagen. Those things look huge. What a dream, though. I would love to go do that. But that's what we were talking about. We're getting ready to move on, and we're going to blow through this next part. We've got about 30 minutes to kill here, so we're going to try to get through this next part as quickly as possible, but still hopefully provide y'all some entertainment and a good chance to possibly laugh at us, or at least at me. You know, a couple of these things you can laugh at me. That's just fine. I don't mind you laughing at me.
It's okay. I'm used to people laughing at me, so
right,
we can be laughed at together.
Hey, that works for me. You're
not getting all the credit.
Well, you know, I try sometimes. All right. So this next one is going to be elk. I know, like Tim Ramming, our co-host, he had an elk hunt a while back, and we had a few close encounters. But because he's not here, we're not going to talk about those close encounters. We're going to let him be the one to kind of talk about those.
Fill in the blanks.
Yeah, but you and your dad have been going elk hunting in the same spot up in Colorado. Your dad's been going for how long? Since 91?
He's actually, he has been going, and I always refer to my time, the same timeline as his, just because it falls into play, but he's been going since 1997.
97. Dude, that's encroaching up on 30 years.
Yeah. And that wasn't his first time going. He went as a kid. Well, I say a kid. He was a teenager. Somewhere along that ballpark. I cannot remember the exact figure of age, but it just took that one time.
And hooked.
And he was hooked.
Yeah.
And he knew that when he got to a point to where he had the money to go and the time to go, that he wanted to go back there. And since that second trip that he made it there, it has been a ritual every year, and he has not missed a year since 1997.
And that, like I said, man, that's going on 30 years of that. That's pure dedication to really, truly loving that in particular trip. Loving that so much that you stick to it, you don't miss it. Come rain, hail, or high water, you're going to be there. And that's awesome. So, obviously, right now we're talking about elk, close encounters, but that doesn't necessarily mean, I can't speak so much for your case, but I know for my case, when I was up there, it wasn't necessarily an elk that we had a close encounter with. Well, I'm not going to go there yet, because I want you to tell your portion of it first, your story on your close encounter, because you said you had a good one, and I'm ready to hear it. once again, guys, we haven't discussed the stories. We haven't discussed with what we're going to say. We have an outline. This way we can stay semi
on
track. But he just said, "Oh, I've got a good one for elk," and so I don't know what it is. I'm ready to hear it. So let's hear it.
I think it's a good one. I mean, I find the humor in it, you know, as well as the experience was cool. Like I said, I've been going hunting in Colorado for many, many years. I've only missed a couple years, and the reason why I've missed those couple years is because apparently my timing is wrong.
Right.
Or was wrong. Not in a bad way, but I've missed a couple years due to the fact that, you know, I had to stay home because I had some kids that were born around that time.
Sure.
And
that happens.
Literally, it happened
That's
during the time of going on this trip on to both my boys.
Mm-hmm.
So those are my only excuses in the times that I've gone since I was, I think I was either 15 or 16. So, you know, I've been going for 20 years,
mm-hmm.
you know, give or take, to Colorado with my dad, and those are the only couple times I've ever missed hunting. So, you know, we bought horses to go just for the fact of, I don't know if any of y'all's ever packed an elk out. I know John and Tim very recently did get to pack one out on their back and found out that
we packed out. Now here's the thing, we didn't do it like you're supposed to do it. We didn't do it, you know, 25
portions
30 pounds at a time. No, Tim and I packed out an entire elk, everything except for literally just a little bit of rib meat where it was bloodshot from the bullet. We packed out the entire elk in one trip on our backs. No horses, no four-wheelers, literally pack in, pack out. We did it in one trip. Now, I'm not saying Tim and I are some big bad sons of guns, but it certainly can make you feel that way when you finally do accomplish it. But anyways,
you want a week to recover.
Only a week? What are you talking about, man? That was back in, what, November? No, that was back in January. That was back in January, and we're now sitting on April 23rd. And let me tell you what, I'm still recovering from that. That was rough. See, I'm fat and out of shape and packing out a whole elk. So basically, Tim had half an elk. I had half an elk. Tim had his gun and other equipment, tripod and stuff for his gun. And of course, I had all the camera equipment plus half an elk.
It's a workout.
Yeah.
It's a workout. And I don't care. I will say try doing that in anywhere from 8 to 10,000 foot of elevation, which is where we hunt.
Mm-hmm.
So you have a very, very less air.
Right. You're not getting the breaths like.
Right, but
well,
anyway,
right.
Lower air concentration.
Right.
And
you're not getting that breath like you would here.
Exactly.
Because we're not used to it.
And we're not acclimated to inclines that are just like boom. You know, we're not level and planed out. So it's definitely a deal. On the packing out portion of that, there is no way that me and Dad would split an elk and pack it out because we may be 3 or 4 miles in with the high altitude, the steep inclines. But the thing is, too, y'all had a timeline when y'all had to be out, so y'all had to.
We had a timeline, and we could have been back the next morning, but Tim had some stuff that had come up earlier that day that was going to prevent him from being able to come back that next morning, and we had to be out of that area no later than 90 minutes after dark, and we shot the elk about an hour and a half before dark. So
it was not an option.
It was not an option. We had skint, cleaned, and hauled out that animal.
Thank God you deboned it.
Yes, and we deboned it. Oh yeah, we deboned it. We were out of the park. I say the park where we were hunting, which was I believe as the crow flies, it was basically right at 2 miles, if I remember correctly. I don't remember exactly, but the route that we had to take, which was the path of least resistance, to make it easier on our legs and our back. Even with the proper packs, it was still rough. But it seems like we went, man, I can't remember. I want to say it was like 2.6 miles.
So basically 3 miles.
So basically, call it 3 miles. Is sure. That's
Give or
fine.
take.
Give or take. Call it 2.5 because 2.6. I believe it was 2.6. I cannot remember exactly. I might be way over the mark there. I don't remember, but nevertheless, I mean, it was a long for us.
Yeah.
For guys that's never packed out on top of boulders, because that's basically what we were hunting on was
right.
boulders.
Very unstable walking conditions.
Absolutely.
And
easy ankle breakers. And I took a bad spill. Actually, I took a bad spill with that camera and that tripod on my back. I thought I ruined my camera. I thought I ruined my tripod. But luckily, Zoom tripods, and which we are not sponsored by, and Canon cameras, which once again we are not sponsored by, but I'm giving them a shout out. Luckily, they make some incredible gear because there is not a scratch on either one of those, and I took a bad fall. I took a really bad fall. And neither one of those, I mean, I still use them today with no issues at all. Anyways, I can get off on that,
Yeah.
but we're going to let that be for Tim. We're going to let that be for Tim when he does his podcast. But, so tell us about yours.
Close encounter. So, like I said, we've been going to Colorado, Pagosa Springs area for many, many years. I mean, it's tradition.
Right.
John knows come October, don't ask me about anything in between elk season because color me gone.
Mm-hmm.
And dad gone.
Right.
So, we got animals to make our packing easier because, I mean, we've done the whole packing deal on back. We've done it on cart, and nothing compares to having a mule,
horse and a mule,
horse or whatever to pack an animal in one trip, in and out.
Right.
So on this particular day, Dad, and to be honest with you, I cannot remember exactly. I'm pretty positive my dad had his horse at this time. I know I had my horse because I was riding it. But so me, I kind of stuck to my honey hole area. Dad kind of went down to his honey hole area, and more than anything, I wasn't so much hunting as I was just taking in the view and just exploring and trying to find the next best thing. And I remember I was like, come up to this spot, and I'm like, wow, this looks like a really good spot. It's nice and open, beautiful. I think this will be a good place to try to start. I've had some success in this area, and so I get off my horse and I go tie him up. Well, I don't know how many of y'all hunt with animals, as in horses and mules, when you're doing a hunt, this type of hunt. But even here in Oklahoma, looking out in the pasture, I'm always looking for a deer, a turkey, what be the case. And 9 times out of 10, and probably a 10 out of a 10, if you're not really per se just looking specifically for a deer or whatever, you see those horses out there and you watch their reaction and what they're doing. And 9 times out of 10, they're going to let you know if something's there before you ever can know that it's there, because their senses, their hearing, they're more keen to that. And that's exactly what happened. Got my horse tied up, was kind of looking around the area trying to find a place to where I may want to sit down and sit for the afternoon. And I noticed my horse, he's got those ears perked up and he's looking around and he kind of nickers a little bit. And I'm like, what is going on? I'm thinking instantly, maybe he saw a bear or something.
Right, something that spooked him up a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, and it wasn't like he was ecstatic or freaking out, but he was making me know that something was there. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I mean, boom! Any of y'all that's ever elk hunted in the mountains and you bust up some elk, it sounds like a freight train coming through the woods. And I mean, there's trees that not quite as big as this. What is this, a 30-ounce?
32-ounce mug,
32-ounce mug. I mean, they'll snap them in half like it's...
Oh, yeah, like it's nothing.
A string of spaghetti.
Right.
And next thing I know, he nickered, he turns and looks, and my horse, he had a personality like you wouldn't believe. He was funny. I mean, we got stories on this guy. We could have podcasts off of this horse, But he turns his head after he nickers, and I look, and I hear the woods just exploding. And I'm about probably 30 yards from the horse. And next thing I know,
real quick, what are you calling a nicker?
just
Like
kinda,
like a neigh?
not a neigh, just a.
Oh, okay, I got you. So
He's letting
I
you know-
wasn't sure.
He's kind of letting you know that something was there. You know, maybe like a greeting sometimes between horses. You know, they'll kind
Sure.
of nicker at each other.
Sure.
You know, not a neigh. A neigh's more of your, at least what I.
Yeah.
The long drawn out deal, but they're kind of nickering a little bit.
Just letting that breath out. Just
You know,
yeah.
just kind
Okay.
of making you know that something's there.
I wasn't sure, so I had to ask.
And like I said, I'm about probably 30 yards from him, and I hear this explosion, and next thing I know, there is elk. And I don't even know where they came from, honestly, because I never saw them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm riding around, never saw him riding in. He never reacted. And so it's almost like they just come out of nowhere, like somebody transported them in a, what do you call that machine? A teleporter.
Oh.
Teleported these suckers in.
Right
They're
behind
there,
you.
right behind us. You know, granted, I mean, I sat there for a little bit, you know, just kind of listening and taking things in.
Sure.
So, who knows, maybe the wind, I didn't pay attention to the wind at that time, but the wind, they might have come in after I'd kind of settled.
Sure.
The wind shifted, and then they exploded and busted out. And these elk are literally running beside my horse, and my horse is circling this tree that he's tied on, not freaking out, but he's like, what's going on here?
Mm-hmm.
He's excited a little bit, you know, and he's talking to these elk, nickering at these elk. Like, what's up, dude? Like, what are you doing? What are you running from? I don't know what you are. I've never seen one before. Me, I'm out in the open, and I literally had some elk, you know, probably get within 15 yards of me at a full run. And me standing there like a tree, best thing to do so they don't run through you.
Right.
But it wasn't a fact of being scared. It was an adrenaline rush because it happened so fast. And what is this? What happened?
Right.
And of course, obviously, I got my rifle. I'm looking. Okay, where's my legal bull?
Right.
You know, we're trying to find this bull. Unfortunately, it was all cows and calves. If there was any bulls, they were just, you know, spikes.
Young
or something
spikes.
like that.
Right.
But it was just a really cool experience. Now, had that happened with pigs running by me,
Mm-hmm.
I'd probably been looking for a tree to go up. But I probably should have been doing that with elk because, I mean, you're talking about a big animal.
That's a big animal.
You know, I mean, I've literally almost had them bust off and run across my feet before sitting there on a tree.
Yeah, your feet would have been broken. Your ankles have been broken.
Yeah, they would have been cutting too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
You know?
that's a heavy animal.
It is.
Well, and that's me talking from the idea of just hauling one out just a few months ago. I mean, that's a heavy animal. Now, I'll tell you what, too, you know, you're talking about the sound of them, you know, when they're coming through the woods, making the sound like a freight train. This was some years ago, and this was my experience talking about close encounters while elk hunting. At this point, I had never been elk hunting before, and it was my very first trip. I was super excited. Me and my buddy, actually, he was a member of the JMTK Outdoors. He was one of the originals, Kirk from JMTK Outdoors. Him and I were elk hunting up in Colorado, and we were up on the side of the mountain. Now, we went with several people. We kind of renovated, I guess, so to speak, the whole side of the mountain. We went with tents, and we had an army-style tent that him and I shared with a wood-burning stove. I mean, because it was super cold, and oh man, it was just, we had the perfect setup. And that next morning, we get out and we go hunting. I believe at that point that was the second morning of season because we got out there the opening day. We got camp set up, and then the next day it was time to hunt. So we get out there and we're hunting, and I remember hearing not twigs breaking, not even branches breaking, but straight up limbs cracking. And we look up. Now, granted, we're supposed to be up there basically the entire length of rifle season during that time. And we look up, and Kirk looks at me and goes, "That's a big bull, but we're only on the second day. If we fill our bull tag now, we'll be stuck up here the rest of the season with nothing to hunt." This bull comes out. I mean, he ain't 50 yards in front of us. I mean, 40, you know, I mean, maybe, you know, crashing, being super loud. Comes out, and we pass him up. Beautiful bull. I'm not going to say he was massive, but to me, would have definitely been a trophy, would have been something I would have been proud of to have on my wall. And I know all of you listening right now are saying, "You idiot, why didn't you shoot it?"
Mm-hmm.
I was young, I was dumb, I didn't know any better. I'd never been elk hunting before. I was going to be up there the rest of the time without anything to do. I should have shot the elk. I know I should have shot the elk. I should have, 110%.
Thumb for people, not to cut you off. This is kind of a guideline and a rule that we go off of.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we're out of staters.
Right.
We're out there for,
a few days.
9 days.
Yep.
9 days a year. We're not a local. We don't know where the herds are because
Right.
they're, they do, when it comes migration time, they do congregate in herds.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to be one big herd. There's going to be several herds.
Several smaller herds, right.
Maybe several hundred,
Mm-hmm.
but statistically speaking, off of my perspective of it, and several other people,
Mm-hmm.
typically when you're up there hunting, times might have been different back when you went. And I do know in my younger years of elk hunting, there was more elk that were seen.
Right.
It was nothing in a whole season of hunting to see, I say season, that 8-9 days we hunted,
Right.
to see 40, 50, 60 elk.
Mm-hmm.
Mainly being cows, calves, and spikes.
Sure.
So if you saw a legal bull,
You took it.
you took it.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it be the first day or the last 30 minutes of shooting light,
Right.
you did not pass it up, because in elk country, my experience, now you may have other people that are better elk hunters than me, and I'm not claiming to be a good elk hunter. I know some ropes on elk hunting,
Sure.
but you do not pass up your opportunity,
Right.
especially not living there.
Right.
So,
Oh yeah. Oh, and I know it. Like I have kicked myself in the rear every time I think about it for not shooting that elk that day.
but you got that story and
But I do have the story and experience. But that wasn't the close encounter. The close encounter came later that day, when me and Kirk, we got to the very top of the mountain and we were overlooking this beautiful valley, beautiful little. I say valley. I shouldn't say valley. I should say more like a crevasse that went down. The lava rocks, or the boulders, whatever you want to call them, was all scattered down, and then it just opened up into this beautiful, beautiful area where it was obvious that the elk traveled through. And so we were watching that area. Well, when you go about halfway down the side of this mountain, there was a bunch of trees and stuff scattered throughout the boulders and stuff, And we're walking down. Now, walking down these lava rocks. Now, for those of you that don't know me personally, I have probably some of the worst ankles of anybody you've ever met. I can be walking on a flat floor and dang near break my ankles. Oh my gosh, it's terrible. It is awful how bad my ankles are. But, anyways. So I've got my gun on my back. Well, attached to my backpack, rather, I should say. And Kirk's got his, if I remember right, Kirk has his gun on his back. Now, I gotta stop this here and say this. At a young age, I developed a fear for bears. Now, that I don't have anymore. Now, I do have a respect for their space. But back then, I did not have respect for the bears. I had fear of the bears. I didn't care if we were close, far, or what. I didn't want to be around them. I was terrified. When we went up in Yellowstone National Park, I was terrified. I didn't get any good sleep because I was terrified a bear was going to come crashing through the tent. So note that. We were walking down these lava rocks, or boulders, whatever you want to call them, and I'm trying to keep my balance, keep my footing. I think I had a stick in this hand to help keep my balance. And about that time, I just feel Kirk's hand go like that right there. And I went, what? And I looked up. Man, now, granted, realistically, this bear was probably 30, 35 yards away from us. He was a little ways away from us. But it felt like he was only a few feet away from us. And instantly, my heart, boom, 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 pounding out of my chest. I'm like, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? What do we do? I can't get my gun. My gun's on my pack. That means I gotta get down. I ain't gonna have time. I ain't gonna have time to get my gun off my back. I ain't gonna have time to shoot it. We're gonna die. I was freaking out. And that bear stood up, looked over at us like, what's up, dude? What's up? Went back down, moseyed on a little bit, did some grazing, stood back up, looked over at us. You wanna hang out? Okay. Deuces. went back down, and moseyed on about his way. Now, like I said, that wasn't necessarily just a few feet away. But for me, at that time, I classify that as one of my close encounters with a bear. I've seen grizzly bears fighting. I've seen them, and I don't mean playing, I mean fighting. I've watched 2 grizzly bears get after it and tearing each other up, trying to kill each other. I have been relatively close in vehicles to other bears and things like that. But when it comes to what I would consider a close encounter, something that scared the daylights out of me, now granted, I know typically in Colorado, talking about primarily black bears for obvious reasons. Black bears, typically they don't want nothing to do with you. They don't care about you. You're not on typically you're not on their food list, so they're just going to move on. But that just happened. Our mic just fell, but that's okay. It'll be all right. So typically they're not, you're not on their list of things that they want to eat. So, typically if they see you, kind of like the pigs, what we were saying earlier, they want to leave and head out. So, but anyways, that was my close encounter while elk hunting. And I tell you what, too, we were 25 minutes in, well, roughly 25 minutes in to this podcast. We're probably actually closer to 22 minutes because we started a few minutes after we started the timer. But I think that we need to do a part 2 or possibly part 3, depending on how we cut this. I don't know yet because I haven't started editing yet. So I think we need to do another part for our last couple and make it like a 30-minute podcast.
Sounds good to me.
Something for y'all to look forward to. We will be doing another close encounters with some of our close encounters.
Close encounters, and maybe next time we can have Tim.
Oh, that would be awesome. That would be awesome if we
get all 3 of us together.
Yeah, that would be a good time. I'm telling y'all what, and I know Tim's got some close encounter stories. And Nina, his wife, has a incredibly close encounter story with a turkey.
Oh, nice.
With a turkey. But anyways, that'll be for another podcast. So until next time, guys, go check out Chum Bums if you haven't already. Go check them out. And you know what? If you got any questions, just message them. Talk to them.
Message them or get in contact with us.
Yeah.
We'll lead you the right way.
Message me. Message me. If you want to know all the ins and outs about it, everything that I know about it, give me a call.
And that is CHUMBUMZ.
Chum Bums. That's
Check
it.
them out.
All right, guys. Until next time, y'all stay safe. Looking forward to seeing y'all again on the next podcast coming soon.